Oh gosh.
By that man.
I think we need to send you back to school to do some more math tests.
Oh God, no.
Welcome back to Shun for Good Reason. I'm Anna.
I'm Tess.
And we've been out for a couple weeks. What were you doing for 2 weeks, Tess?
God knows.
I thought the podcast was about how God doesn't know.
I don't know, what did we do? We went to Ren Fair, had a birthday, had a million kids at our house.
Had a flood in the basement. Had an escaped ball python.
It's just the normal stuff.
Just the normal stuff, you know,
Yeah.
the things that people do.
Yeah.
The ball python is found safely. He was trying to escape his own shedding skin and it did not work. He is shedding appropriately now. He's fine. He's just not happy about it. Poor
Yeah.
buddy.
I'm a little jealous, to be honest.
Yeah. Wouldn't it be nice to just shed your skin like a snake?
I think so, except for the fact that it would just be basically the same when you were done.
Yeah, except you just kind of have cataracts for a while.
Yeah.
Because their eyes get all cloudy when they're shedding.
Yeah. I always kind of wanted to do it like Eustace. The Voyage of the Dawn
Eustace
Treader.
Clarence Scrub, and he almost deserved it. That's a Narnia joke, for those of you uninitiated. The Voyage of the Dawn Treader starts off, there once was a boy named Eustace Clarence Scrub, and he almost deserved it.
That's a good book.
It's a good book.
But he turns into a dragon because he was greedy and wanted the gold in the dragon's den. And then he was just a dragon for a while. Which, I don't know. He seemed to... Well, I think he eventually realized that it wasn't good because he couldn't connect with people. Because he couldn't talk.
Well, but that was the only way he started connecting with people, because he was
True.
just a jackass.
Right.
Until he turned into a dragon and he actually became useful. And
Right.
they would cuddle up against him for warmth on the beach, and
Yeah.
he would start fires for them, because this is a group of people essentially. They're not really shipwrecked, but they're moored in
Yeah.
a bay.
Yeah.
But then, after he finally becomes useful, they know that they're going to have to leave him
Right.
because he won't fit on the ship.
And he can't fly
And he
as
can't
far
fly
as they
that
need
far.
to go. Yeah. And so then he... Oh, what happened? I don't remember what the decision was, but
He decided he was going to go off in the middle of the night, and
Right.
then they just
So
wouldn't
they
be able
wouldn't
to
have to
find
worry
him the
about it.
next day when they set sail.
yeah. Yeah. And then he runs into Aslan the lion, and the lion says something like, you just have to take off the skin or something like that.
Well, he runs into Aslan
You
at
remember
this
better than me,
fancy
clearly.
moonlit pool, and Aslan asks if he wants to go swimming, and he's like, sure, I'd love to go swimming. He's a dragon, so he's always warm. And Aslan says, well, then you're going to have to take off your clothes.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
So then he scratches off his scales, and then
And it
Aslan
felt
says,
nice to
it
scratch
felt
off the
nice to
scales.
scratch off the scales,
Yeah.
and then he says, well, you're going to have to take off your clothes.
Yeah.
And so this sounds really pedophilic out of context. Aslan's a lion, and this is a dragon, okay? But he scratches off another layer of scales and another layer of scales, and Aslan's like,
And
that's
nothing
still not good
changes.
enough. You're
Yeah.
still a dragon. And so he allows Aslan to take his big old lion claws and rip through his skin and scales.
Yeah, it really hurts.
And it really hurts.
Yeah.
And then he steps into the cool water after all of his scales have been torn off.
Yeah.
And when he steps back out, he's a child again.
Yeah.
That does sound lovely, doesn't it?
Yeah! It's very a very transgender analogy in my mind.
I was just wondering if that's what it feels like for people who really like getting Brazilian waxes.
Maybe a little. I wouldn't know.
Tell me about how that plays into the transgender experience.
Well, because you just feel like you're not in the right body, in the right skin, and like there's almost, you feel like there's nothing you can do to change it, right? No matter how much you try and claw it off, it's just always the same, and it takes a pretty radical realization of what's going on deep down to start on a new journey to actually live in your own skin. Well, and like for me, like I put on layers and layers of masks to try and be mask. Because I was trained to be a masculine boy, and like so a lot of my journey has been trying to recognize those things that I just did because I thought that's what I was supposed to do, and kind of unlearn them and relearn who I am just as myself.
So if you were a dragon outside a moonlit pool, what portion of the story of the moonlit pool do you think you would be most consistent with at this point in your journey?
Right now?
Right now.
I mean, it depends on the day. Some days I feel like I did it, I made it through, I'm a real girl again. And a lot of days I feel like I have to go all the way back at staring at the pool as a dragon, like, ugh. I still can't get the skin off. It really depends on the moment. It's kind of, I don't know. Anyway.
So.
I don't know how we got. Boa constrictor. Boa python.
From the ball python.
Ball python. Whatever he is. He's a
today we're talking about something that does actually relate to that, and it is called the window of tolerance. Marginally relates to that.
Marginally.
Well, because it's about regulation versus dysregulation, and moving from growth versus being incapable of moving to growth.
That makes sense.
Mm-hmm. So the question is, have you ever reacted to something and then later on, after you were through that experience, you thought, why did that feel like a big deal?
All the time. Every day.
Okay. What about something painful or dramatic happening and you feel absolutely nothing? No emotions involved. You just get done what you need to get done.
Yeah. I don't know. I feel like we do lots of things like that, like having 5 kids.
Yeah, there are a lot of things where you just have to get through. So, psychiatrist Daniel Siegel came up with the idea of this window of tolerance, and it describes the zone of being where you are able to learn and grow, you're able to make intentional decisions, you're able to think clearly, feel emotions without being overwhelmed by them, you're able to connect with others, see other points of view. All the good things, in quotation marks, are in this window of tolerance, those places of growth and personal validation and good experiences and connections with others. And outside of that, you have either total shut off or emotional dysregulation, essentially. So what he's actually describing is a way to think about the autonomic or the autonomic nervous system. I swear I can talk. So sympathetic versus parasympathetic, of course. Most people are familiar with these. Sympathetic activation is where you need to mobilize. This is the one that you've got in the battlefield, whether the battlefield is taking care of a flooding downstairs and an escaped snake, or actually getting shot at. Whatever it is, this is the gas pedal for the body. It helps you with energy, focus, motivation, making those split-second decisions that you need to make in times of crisis. Like, this is the one where if you are running from a tiger, you want this one going. You want the adrenaline, you want to be fast, you want to meet the deadlines at work, you want to get away from the tiger and hide appropriately and that sort of thing. And then the parasympathetic is the rest and digest, or rest and restore, however you want to remember it. But it's the one that deals with actual physical digestion of your food, recovery of your body from being in times of stress, sleep, repair, and generally connection with others. Because it's hard to connect with others when you're fully task-driven. You have to have that rest and digest time to where you can actually connect emotionally to the people around you. They're both very important, and we need them both.
One of them's scary.
And that's a common thought about the sympathetic nervous system, is that it only reacts when you're scared. But this is also the part of the nervous system that reacts when you're in the zone. Like when you
The
are
flow.
Exactly, the flow, the adrenaline that comes with doing a job well. You know that you're capable of this. You are making that deadline appropriately. You are getting everything done on time during your shift. You know how to deal with this crisis that the children are having at your work or at home, and you're just very task motivated and you're getting it done, and it's wonderful. Because if something is happening, like a work deadline or like a child's meltdown, the last thing you need is for your parasympathetic nervous system to say, let's sleep about it.
Yeah.
It's not that there's a good guy and a bad guy. It's that there's two very different somatic regulation tools within you, and you need to use them at the right times and use them in conjunction with the right things, and make sure that you're swapping between them, because you can't just rest and digest constantly, or you will be fat and lazy and nothing will get done. You can't just run away from tigers all day, because you will become exhausted and your body will shut down eventually. So you need these both, and you need them to be working together. Now, the window of tolerance is this ideal state where you are swapping between those two with ease. So you're calm, you're curious, you're flexible, you're connected to the people around you. This is the zone where you can learn things and discover things and have great conversations with the people around you. But if you get over that window of tolerance, so if you imagine most of the descriptions of this, since this is a primarily audio podcast, are of your typical 1950s style pane window that someone would draw on a child's picture book. So you've got this window. The window is the window of tolerance, and anything above that window is hyperarousal. This is where your sympathetic nervous system is taking over. So you go to your fight, flight, fawn, freeze. All of those are above the window. That's hyperarousal. You're way too far up there. And then hypoarousal is everything underneath the window, where you are actually freezing, you are shutting down, you are collapsing. And this is describing the two opposite things that your nervous system can do when it goes into overwhelm. So either the mania or the hypomania, if you're talking in bipolar depression terms. Either you're way out there, everything's going crazy, you're not in control, or you're so far out of control that you're just shutting down. Both are outside that window of tolerance where you can actually do things effectively.
It's Goldilocks zone.
The Goldilocks zone. Yeah.
I feel like what am I thinking? Well, like you say, like it needs like it's that flow state, and like you have to be pretty good at what you're doing to get to that state, right? Like you have to feel comfortable in what you're doing to get to that state. Otherwise, I feel like you almost automatically are stuck in hypermania or hypomania, just trying to figure it out, right? Like, okay, so the example in my head, we just watched this Mythbusters episode with kids. I did, and they were doing this ridiculous battle of the sexes thing, which is a horrible premise from the get-go, but but they were doing a are women better multitaskers than men, and they set up this whole scenario that was in like a household setting, and they had like this robot baby that they had to keep in a safe zone, and then they had tasks like making sandwiches, ironing clothes, and getting dressed, and making sandwiches, and answering a phone, answering questions, all that needed to be done within, I think it was 5 minutes. And it was interesting to watch the men versus the women, and just noticing like how some people were, and it wasn't just the women, but just more used to those tasks, right? Like, and I was watching it thinking, oh yeah, I can do that. This is just what I do every day, more or less, you know, like I wasn't stressed just thinking about it, because like I know how to do that. I know how to make a sandwich. I know how to make sure, you know, part of me is taking care of the child. And and so it's a lot easier just to flip on that switch in the background, and I can still do something else, right? So I could theoretically kind of multitask, just because I don't have to devote so much energy to it. But if I'm brand new to, or not maybe brand new, but fairly unfamiliar with any of those tasks, it's going to be a struggle. And like you could tell, like a couple of the guys hadn't done much with kids. And so they just like each task was just they had to do separately because they were like figuring it out on its own. And it was a much more stressful thing for them. I don't know.
No, it's exactly that. Some things you can do by muscle memory, and that's going to decrease your state of arousal while doing them.
Right.
But also with those ones, you'll see those two different reactions to being outside their window of tolerance. So either they're flying around like a crazy person, or they're freezing because they don't remember what they're supposed to do next.
Right. Yeah, and that happened a lot.
Well, and we see this with, because I teach students and new hires a lot at my job. So when we're in a code blue situation, somebody has stopped breathing, their heart has stopped beating, I try to bring my students so they can see how this goes. And there's one of two people when they're outside this window of tolerance, because for a lot of them, this is their first code. Not for everybody.
Yeah.
But you'll either see them fly around, try to answer every question that every person in the room is asking of every other person in the room, just be incredibly frazzled, they're breathing fast, they're focused on one thing or another and trying to back their eyes back and forth between everyone, or they stand in a corner, they immediately assume a protective posture, so like they're hugging themselves, or sometimes with the guys their hands will be in their pockets kind of trembling a little bit, and they're just wide-eyed staring at everything around them and trying to not let anyone see them.
Yeah.
The window of tolerance. They are outside.
They're not in it.
And that's how it feels starting a new job or doing a new thing,
Right.
especially where you need to multitask.
Yeah.
Because you aren't familiar with these things. You don't know how to regulate yourself in these situations.
Yeah. And like on the show, like they were because it was just like they would call them and ask us a fairly simple question that was a little bit confusing. Like they would say, there are 3 colors: red, yellow, and green. What's 2 plus 2? Or something like that. And I remember one guy, he was just like you could see the fawn face. Because it was, it was a simple question, but he was trying to do 3 other things, and his face just went, and he goes, I don't know. But it's just interesting how even like in a simple scenario, like we still default to those. Like it's not even emergency, somebody's dying scenario.
Yeah.
It's just a silly TV show. I've got 5 minutes to make a sandwich scenario.
Your sympathetic nervous system doesn't know that it's just a TV show.
Right.
Your sympathetic nervous system says, we need to survive right now more than we need to think.
Right.
And that's what's happening there. When you get outside of that zone of tolerance, either hyper or hypo, then you are not able to experience someone disagreeing with you without feeling threatened about it. You're not able to learn from feedback that people give you. You're not able to regulate the emotions that you're having. You're not able to reflect on things. You're just able to react to them. And you're not able to maintain relationships because all of the steps of good communication are inside that zone of tolerance. And if you get outside of that, that's when misunderstandings and miscommunication happen most frequently.
Yeah. So they did another test, the same episode, I think, where they were trying to determine the myth that men don't ask for help. And so they had 20 volunteers, and they gave them driving instructions to get to somewhere. But halfway through the instructions, they gave them an incorrect direction. And and then they put like volunteers in that area to be people who they could ask for help. And and there were 20 people, 10 men, 10 women who did it, and 18 of them asked for directions. Only 2 of them didn't. 1 man, 1 woman. But the most interesting part to me was watching those 2 people get so frustrated. Like, like just a couple minutes in, they were just watching their frustration and their body language, and they didn't know what to do, and they kept turning around, and they couldn't think of the simple solution. Ask for help, right? Everybody else did. 18 out of 20 people got to that conclusion. I could just ask for help, right? So is
that when your sympathetic nervous system is going,
the
last thing it thinks of very often is communication.
Yeah, and that's what it was. Like they were just like they knew they were on TV, and they were really wanting to pass this test and get it right, and so they were just in that survival mode, and it did not even occur to them to ask for help within like 20 minutes. I mean, they stopped him eventually. Maybe they would have eventually, I don't know,
but... So we've talked about hyperarousal and hypoarousal. Now we're going to go into what those look like specifically. So hyperarousal are things like fighting, flying, and hypervigilance.
I wish I could fly.
I know, wouldn't that be lovely?
Yeah.
So your fight response is when you get that frustration and it turns immediately into anger. You're irritable, you're defensive, how dare you question me, I'm just trying to do my job, this is what I'm supposed to do, they told me to do this, they told me to go to this place, they told me to find this thing, so I'm trying to do that. Why are you here offering me directions when I'm supposed to be doing something? And you find
that's a yucky feeling.
Control behaviors here, like, I always sit at this chair. Why are you sitting in this chair when I sit in this chair? And immediately you're out of your zone because somebody sat in your chair, or somebody's using the computer you usually use, or somebody's doing something that you were going to do, and you're all the way off. And the response is to fight, to argue, to try to make things go right for you, to try to get your nervous system back into that window.
because you have things that you're used to helping you be in the tolerance window, and then they go wrong.
And then
you don't
you're
have
angry.
enough of a tolerance.
You've
window
lost control.
to tolerate the situation.
Yes.
That's interesting.
It is. But these are those times when you're interviewing a criminal, they'll say, "Oh, I blacked out for that." They become somebody they don't recognize, and it feels like they have to fight because they're outside of that zone of tolerability. And for the person who was tailgating me yesterday, the zone of tolerability was 50 in a 35. So that's on him. And he became very irate when I would not do that, even though he could pull out and go around. But he couldn't remember to pull out and go around because he was outside of his zone of tolerability. All in his head.
Right.
The fight response. Flight response is often expressed as chronic anxiety, overworking. If you're type A, constantly planning things, avoiding situations where you won't know what to do, and this restlessness. And you can recognize that in yourself if you are listening to your body very often. But if you're not listening to your body, you can start paying attention to what things you're doing. If you have a hard time resting, if you always need to be productive, or if every time your body stops moving, you are doom scrolling on your phone, chances are you're experiencing an anxiety reaction. And this is part of the flight response. You are immediately escaping into another world. We live in a very anxious time.
I think we need to talk about something else.
You will also find yourself being hypervigilant, and we experience this a lot in PTSD symptoms. The brain asks, instead of what is happening right now and what do I need to do, it starts asking, what could go wrong?
Everything.
Everything. And we saw this yesterday when the basement started flooding. The immediate thought is, shit, we've got to turn off the main water supply to the house. There's probably some main pipe somewhere that burst, and oh my god, we're not going to have water for the next 3 weeks, and it's going to be horrible. We can't afford an Airbnb for 3 weeks. What are we going to do? And what we needed to do was calm down and take the fridge back out from where we had been looking for the ball python and realize that there was one connection loose. It's not the snake's fault. He was trying to flight. Unfortunately, he is not a flying snake.
It's not a flying snake.
But what happens when you become hypervigilant is that you cannot relax. You may be reading the facial expressions, even the micro expressions of the people around you constantly. And believe it or not, they're not always thinking about you. Their micro expressions might not even be related to you. But since you're hypervigilant, you're taking them more personally. And then you can often feel responsible for managing the emotions of everyone around you.
Remember that show Liar we watched? They were always talking about
that was way back when.
Yeah.
They did micro expressions in that one. That was fun.
Yeah. I had thought about that a long time, but
yeah, that's been forever.
Paying attention to people's micro expressions. But like, yeah. I'm trying to think I feel like in the day-to-day life, hypervigilance tends to look like, how do I just make everything be okay? Like, that's what it sounds like in my head, more than I'm being hypervigilant.
Yeah. Well, and that's what it feels like, is that you're trying to make sure that everything's okay.
Yeah.
But what it leads to is you hear something snap or something fall, and immediately you're on your feet running towards the thing. What is it? What is it? What is it? Can I help? What am I doing? What are you doing? Why are you there? What are your expressions saying? How can I help? Oh my goodness, something broke. What are we going to do about the something broken? And it doesn't always
It's not usually helpful. Yeah.
Fast responses are great. Hypervigilance is murder on your nervous system.
Yeah. It's like taking the kids roller skating outside.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
It's the good exercise in hypervigilance.
Yeah. And also the reality that it doesn't really help. Like, because it really doesn't matter
Well, yeah,
what I
because
do.
you can't swoop in front of
But-
5 children at once
right.
and remove the pebble that's going
Yeah.
to make them trip.
Right. They're gonna be hurt before I can get there.
Yes.
If they get hurt. That's just the reality of the situation. Unless it's some off the wall crazy scenario. With 1 in a million. But otherwise, it's just gonna happen and you have to deal with it.
Yep.
But you're worried, like, oh, what if I just they're gonna die?
So those ones are hyperarousals, the fight, flight, and hypervigilance responses. The hypoarousals are your freeze and fawn. So freeze is feeling stuck. You're not able to make decisions. You're procrastinating things. You feel disconnected from the things around you.
Let's talk about it later.
You made a decision to talk about it. So technically, you're not stuck.
No.
Also, so the freeze one you'll see in those students who stepped back in the code room and their hands are in their pockets and they're just staring at everybody. You ask them, do you want to get in line for compressions? And they're like, not answering, just there.
Right.
And then there's also collapse or shutdown, usually a little bit later on in the process, where you become emotionally numb. Those things don't even bother you anymore. You hear the glass shatter in the other room, and you just think, another thing broken. You get exhausted, you can dissociate, and you can get to the point where you really just don't care anymore. As one patient described it to me, I'm not happy, I'm not sad. I'm just here. You can call me with the best news of your life, and I will say I'm happy for you, but it hasn't changed that plateau of feeling that I've reached.
Yeah.
And often this is viewed as laziness. Well, you'd feel better if you just got out of bed, went for a walk, ate the right foods, worked out right, did the right job. If you just look for a different job, you'd be fine. If you just did this, you'd be fine. You're just so lazy. You're procrastinating. Nothing's right with you. Why can't you just do it? I do it. Why can't you do it? But a nervous system that has been on constant guard for so long is reacting to prolonged stress by just shutting that off.
Yeah. Just trying to deal with it, but it's weird. I mean, it's weird because all of these things are, on both sides, are like, are your body's attempts to actually problem solve.
Yeah.
Right? Like, it's not even necessarily maladaptive per se,
No, it's
because it
not.
is actually very adaptive. It's I guess I think, like, because we feel like we always want to be in Goldilocks zone, right? But like, life doesn't work that way.
No, it does not.
In my experience.
Yep.
There's moments where you're in the Goldilocks zone. Tolerance, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
But like, because here's my problem. Is like, I hear all those things and my brain automatically goes, don't ever fight. Don't ever fawn. Don't ever be anxious. Don't ever, right? Like, I
Yeah.
automatically start telling myself to, it's like sin. You know,
Yeah.
like, you're sinning.
You're hearing the symptoms of your nervous system trying to protect itself,
Right.
and you're becoming unprotected. You're becoming aroused by the fear of those symptoms even starting.
Right.
And they're not bad. They're there to help you.
Right.
And you're going to experience trauma. If there's one thing that we all know about life, it's that trauma is going to happen. And trauma is not something bad happened.
Are you sure?
I'm very sure. Trauma
That
is
sounds
not
wrong.
something bad happening to you. Trauma is having an experience that overwhelms your ability to cope with it. For someone whose window of tolerance includes being shot at,
Ooh.
being shot at is not going to overwhelm their window of tolerance. For a tiny child whose window of tolerance encompasses, I'm only safe in mommy's arms, anything outside of that can be experienced as trauma. Trauma is not what happens to you, it is what your body does to protect yourself from the things that are happening to you. And yes, bad things happen. And things happen that are objectively should be outside of anyone's zone of tolerance.
Right.
And your body will experience those as trauma, and it will process them as trauma.
Right.
It is a lack of safety, a lack of support, or a lack of recovery, or all of the above. But when you look at the window of tolerance, we're thinking of a glass pane 1950s children's picture book window. And we think of that as static and not open to change. And as long as I stay in this window and never experience hyperarousal or hypoarousal, I'll be just fine and nothing traumatic will affect me.
Yeah,
that's not how life works. And when you experience trauma, it can narrow that window so you become safer in fewer places. Because your body is going to see the same things it was traumatized in and think, shit, not again. I'm already dysregulated. I can't deal with this. And then you will either hypoarouse or hyperarouse, and you won't be inside your window anymore. So if you are in your window of tolerance, let's say person A is in the window of tolerance. They're right here in this window. So
their
they
mom
receive...
was really bad at naming kids.
They really were, but that's okay. They receive a criticism. They feel uncomfortable. They reflect on the criticism, and they adjust to change what they were doing to not get that criticism anymore. Person B is outside their window of tolerance. So they receive a criticism, but they experience it as a threat. And then they become defensive or they shut down. That's what happens with one person within the window of tolerance versus a person outside the window of tolerance. And everything about your life is going to be affecting this window of tolerance. It's not a singular glass pane window. It is a breadth of experience.
Yeah. It's really wild is when you got two people outside of their window of tolerance.
Mm-hmm.
Or
which
three.
happens a lot. You'll see this in car accidents specifically. That's the one that I've been seeing a lot because I drive on powers. So almost every day when I'm driving down this road that I drive every day, there will be two cars on the side of the road. There will be two people outside of those cars, sometimes more, and they will be gesticulating wildly or fawning and freezing.
Yeah.
Sometimes both of them are doing
both.
freeze. Sometimes both of them are doing gesticulating wildly. Either way, you can tell these are incredibly dysregulated people who have stepped outside of their window of tolerance. But here's the thing. The goal is not to never leave your window.
I like my window.
The goal is to recognize when you are leaving your window, to return to your window more efficiently, and to increase your capacity over time. Become more flexible.
Get a bigger window.
Make the window bigger.
Yeah.
So what you have to do is actually be aware of your emotions to start this.
Or call Pella.
Is that the window?
Sorry.
Oh gosh.
What you said was way better. What did you say?
I don't remember. You put me outside of my zone of tolerance. Expand your window.
Yeah.
You can do this through a lot of ways, but they all start with knowing what your emotions are and how your body reacts to them. The way to understand how your body reacts is to do the things that your body needs, like walking, exercising, breathing exercise, progressive muscle relaxation, grounding techniques, yoga, stretching, knowing what your body's baseline is. Because some of us live in a hyper or hypo-aroused state. Some of us are just doing. Some of us are just not doing. You need to know what your body's natural state is. Take it out of the hypo or hyperarousal and let it know what relaxation is and what it needs to be at. Otherwise, it won't know when it's hyper or hypo-aroused. You need to be able to name emotions. You need to be able to challenge catastrophic thoughts, like there's a leak and now obviously all water is the enemy forever and all the pipes are broken and everything is wrong. Challenge those thoughts and bring them back into reality and take actual perspective. Is this person criticizing me because everything about me is wrong and they hate me? Or do they see something that could improve and I can help improve it? And we have to regulate through relationship as well, which is very difficult in this day and age. But safe relationships, therapy to help name your thoughts, community and vulnerability are all things that take you out of your hypo or hyper-aroused state and bring you back into a state of regulation and a window of tolerance.
Make it sound so easy.
It's not.
It's like trying to ride a horse backwards whilst drinking rum and trying to shoot a target 1,000 miles away. That's what
See,
it feels like most days.
what you're describing is hyper-arousal. I'm going to need to not do any of those things in the window, okay? You're going to break your window. So what a lot of people ask is, how do I eliminate all my anxiety and just be fine forever?
Yes, that's what we want to know.
That is what we want to know. The better question is, how do I become someone who can experience anxiety and remain present? I'm answering what question?
A question with a question.
Yes. I'm replacing a question with a better question.
Right.
So don't think anxiety is the enemy. How do I avoid all anxiety forever? Because your body won't function without some anxiety.
Right. Well, it's how it deals with
exactly
whatever happens. Crazy things happen.
The question is, how do I experience this anxiety, recognize it as anxiety, and still remain present and connected through that anxiety?
Remaining present is such a difficult concept.
It is.
For me, at any rate. My brain always wants to go somewhere else. It seems like. Well, and like I was watching Kelsey Flair, something like that. Sorry, Kelsey. You row Kelsey on Instagram. She just beat a whole bunch of world records for rowing across the Pacific Ocean.
Because she rowed solo from California to Hawaii in what, 44 days?
I think it was 42.
Very cool.
Yeah. And which is faster than anybody else has done it, and she's the youngest person to have done it, and all sorts of things. By herself. Mm-hmm. And but she would record herself and do little Instagram videos as she was doing it, and she talked quite a lot about trying to stay present in the moment and enjoy it and recognize what it is while she's doing it, because and then she would talk about how it's so easy to especially when she got halfway through, it was really easy for her to start thinking about it's almost over, it's going to end, and she was kind of sad about that, which is normal, mm-hmm. right? But then at the same time, she's like, I'm still trying to be present and enjoy this, and not just live in the oh it's almost over narrative. And like even just me sitting, you know, in my house in Colorado, as far away from the ocean as I could possibly be, like it's really easy for me to imagine that would be really hard for me to do, like staying present in the moment, and especially by yourself, kind of doing the same thing over and over again. I think my tendency would be to let myself be in the future or the past, and it's hard to balance those things.
Yeah.
For me.
Well, because it's uncomfortable to come to grips with where you are and what you're doing right now.
Yeah.
It's hard for all of us.
Yeah.
Presence is hard.
It's crazy because it's like all we actually have, but like it's scary, and like I feel like for me, like there's a lot of frustration and guilt and fear. Like the more I'm present, like the more I notice those things.
Mm-hmm.
And so like when like my body wants to jump out of that and
Yep. Well, but here's the thing, like Kelsey, she chose to do something very difficult.
Right.
Not because she knew she could do it and it wasn't hard.
For sure.
She's showing grit and determination and resilience by breaking a bunch of records by being present.
Right.
Resilience is not never struggling. Resilience is that ability to bounce back from the struggle, to do the struggle, to come back, and to try it again. It's like when you start climbing and all you can do is a 5-4, 5-5, and you fall off the first couple times, and then you finally get to the top. Then you don't just never do it again. You push the boundaries, you push the limits just a little bit more. And every time you do it, it gets just a little bit easier to do it the next time. It's that growth and stretching that brings us back to resilience. Not just never being uncomfortable.
Yeah. Right. It's boring.
Yeah. Yeah. It would be really boring to never be outside of your window of tolerance.
Yeah, for sure. But at the same time, like you have to have that.
Yep. You do. Because otherwise there's no safe place
right,
for your body.
Right, because you can't just live in anxiety all the time. It's exhausting. You have to have moments of, and maybe that's why it's easy to feel like it's bad because you need those moments, and I think like with the access to doom scrolling and whatnot, it's a lot harder to find those moments and recognize them. And so like there's part of me that's like, where my body I think freaks out, like I didn't have that today, what are we gonna do? Mm-hmm. Right, so I've just had more anxiety about not having the window moments.
Mm-hmm. Well, but your window can change too. The more that you practice with your window, the more it changes. My first couple 14ers, I would go up and get halfway there and think, oh my God, I'm like 8-10 miles away from my car. What am I going to do? I'm so tired. And going back to, oh, I've walked that far before. Right. And I know how to walk. And I know that I have the things that I need. And it's okay.
Right.
Practicing more and practicing more from there and then practicing more from there. And then before you know it, Kelsey's ruined Hawaii. My God. It's insane.
It is.
But if you don't measure these responses, if you don't train your nervous system like you would train a muscle, if you overwork it, if you underwork it, if you ignore its existence and just pretend that you don't have a hamstring even after you pulled it, things will go wrong with your nervous system. And we see this a lot in both the healthcare and the teacher world.
Yeah.
You see a lot of compassion fatigue. You feel so sorry for all these people, and you never get to bounce back from the moral injury of that before you have a whole new set of patients or students, and you get exhausted from the compassion it takes to take care of those people again, and then you don't give yourself a chance to bounce back from that. You just keep doing it and doing it and doing it and doing it, which leads to burnout. And it also leads to secondary trauma. You need to be able to watch what's happening in someone's life in both the teaching world and the nursing world. You have to watch what somebody else is doing, what decisions they're making, and you have to not be in control of those decisions and step back from it, even though watching that is causing you huge discomfort. Watching someone make what you feel is definitely the wrong decision and watching it over and over and over without actually being able to recover is moral injury.
Yeah, well, and that adds a really whole another layer to it, because like there's the layer of this is your body reacting how it's supposed to react, but then there's the things happen that are injurious to that system and make it glitchy. and I wonder how much of like my own like feeling that that's bad is just more of not dealing with the fact that it's broken, right? Like you see that it's broken, you know, you're like part of you maybe even knows it's broken, but you're not actually, but you never actually get around to healing it, and so you just have a limp.
Yep.
And then you don't want to lean on that because it's weak and limpy.
Yep.
And you compensate for it. But that doesn't actually help. That just burns you out more, I suppose.
Well, because it puts more stress on every other portion of your body and makes that damaged part weaker instead of actually letting it recover.
Yeah.
So, is dark humor a sign of unhealthy coping?
I don't know.
Because that's what a lot of us fall back on, both in education and in healthcare, is this dark humor. I keep coming back to codes because I was in a really interesting one this week where I had someone who, it's their first job in healthcare, they were doing the whole fawn thing in the corner. I was explaining things to them as they happened so they would know what was going on and what to expect when they inevitably have to participate in a code. We were staying out of the way, healthcare people, don't worry, it's fine. But some of the people running the code started laughing to each other. And my student didn't understand that they were laughing because they had a miscommunication, they had cleared it up, and they were resolving the tension between themselves. All this person saw, this uninitiated person, was someone dying in front of them and other people in the room laughing. And they did not understand what was going on, because to a lot of people who are uninitiated into these jobs, they don't understand what humor can do. It feels disrespectful and it feels offensive to see humor in a situation where you are already either hyper or hypo-aroused. But depending on where you are in your window of tolerance, dark humor can be a good thing. Yeah. So if you're using it as a regulation strategy, where you are saying, this thing is hard, but I am in control of myself. That laugh can reduce your physiological stress. It can create an emotional distance that gives you a buffer so you can go back to do your job afterwards. It can restore a sense of agency and appropriate communication between the people who are working here. And it can help you and those around you tolerate the discomfort of what you're going through. So
For sure.
when we watch people like Nurse John, Nurse Blake on TikTok, these hilarious people making absolutely absurd skits that are true
Yeah.
in the context of healthcare, what they are saying is not this suffering doesn't matter and it's all stupid.
Yeah, for sure.
What they are saying is this does matter, and we give it validation by recognizing how absurd it is.
Yeah.
Which is good. We can also use it to make meaning of the things that are going on. Soldiers joke during wartime. They sing Christmas carols too, apparently, during World War II. Emergency responders have to joke with each other after taking traumatic calls. Survivors of sexual abuse, survivors of church abuse, survivors of dreadful national tragedies can joke about that even years in the future and use it as both a coping mechanism and a way of finding connection and validation with people who have experienced similar things. Like, we all saw that. That was fucked up, right? Thank goodness we're here together. We both saw that and both agree that that was fucked up. That is a moment of connection and moment of meeting facilitated by humor in what to an outsider is an inappropriate context because they were not part of that connection.
Right. But that's just like healing, essentially.
Yes.
Yeah.
So laughing at something horrible that happens is not minimizing it. It is refusing to let it destroy you from the inside out.
Yeah.
Because you could take every single traumatic EMS call, every single horrible interaction with a parent of one of your students at work, every single code incredibly personally. You could never joke about it, but that in itself takes you outside of your window of tolerance because your body needs to make sense of this somehow. And that's how it's going to make sense of it, is by finding a connection. And humor is an easy way to find connection with the people around you. And then it brings that back into your window of tolerance. So humor inside our window of tolerance acknowledges pain. It is a choice. It's not just hysterical laughter. It creates that connection between people, and you can come out of it and be serious and continue the job if you need to. Go right back into it. You'll hear a lot of people say, I can either laugh or cry about this.
Yeah.
And very often they will choose to laugh if they're around other people.
Yeah.
Some people do laugh to themselves about it, but more often, if you don't find that connection with somebody who can also say, yeah, this is stupid, then you will end up crying.
Yeah.
And instead of a moment of connection, you will experience a moment of isolation.
Right.
Which takes you outside of your window of tolerance. If you have humor outside this window of tolerance, it can look like avoidance. So you're joking because you don't want to let people in. When somebody asks you, how are you today? You say, well, I'm here again, aren't I? And you're avoiding what could have been a moment of connection.
Right.
And you can also use it in therapy. Like if we ask you about your childhood and you say, I turned out fine. Did you? Did you really? Because I feel like if you were fine, you wouldn't be so avoidant about talking with it. And you can also use it as a hyper arousal. So humor as a tool, humor as a cutting thing to punch down at people, sarcasm, cynicism. I'm better than everybody else in this stupid workplace and none of them understands. And it's so funny that I'm up here and you're all down there. This is where you are not experiencing compassion toward your coworkers or your students or your patients or your customers. You are making light of them, making fun of them. They are no longer real people to you. You are the real person and you look down.
It's no good.
It's no good. It's really no good. Flight response can also be in here where you avoid. This is a lot like that avoidance one, but it's never allowing silence. It's never allowing. It's an emotional avoidance instead of like a conversational avoidance.
Yeah.
If silence comes, people will start thinking. If people start thinking, they'll get in their heads. We need to avoid them getting in their heads. We need to come up and joke about this. This is your court jester who's making sure that nobody goes to war by bringing levity to the situation. Which, if it works, great, let's not go to war. But
Yeah.
as a personal defense mechanism to personal life issues, probably not so helpful.
Well, you're just trying to solve everybody's problems without actually dealing with.
And then your freeze response also happens here, where you're in therapy, and when you need to describe something painful, instead of actually experiencing the emotions and letting them come out, you're laughing about them in an entirely inappropriate way. We call this incongruous.
Right.
It does not make sense for the situation, and you are trying to minimize other people's reactions to the horrible thing that you are telling them, because your body understands that it's traumatic and it doesn't want to traumatize other people. Is very often what you'll see this in. Wild.
Humans are wild.
Dark humor is great if you use it correctly.
Yeah.
If you are using it to find meaning, to find connection, to bring your body back into itself, balance out those sympathetic and parasympathetic nervous systems, great. If you are using it from a state of hypoarousal, avoiding everything, or hyperarousal, punching down at people with your humor, something's going wrong.
Check yourself.
Check yourself.
Tolerance.
That's it. Tolerance and dark humor.
It's not just a bumper sticker.
I think that one's coexist.
Oh, you're right.
Yeah.
Same thing.
So how are you going to use dark humor this week?
I have no idea. To punch people. No.
Yes! How very dragonish of you. I'm going to find my window of tolerance while I finish my tattoo appointment this afternoon.
Good semi-alone time.
You know? Yeah.
I might be more
That is-
scared to go to the library.
You know that's fair. Librarians, man.
Yeah. For children's friends. That's the scary one. Don't wanna.
Having to talk to people and connect, it's just the worst. Just think about it as expanding your window of tolerance. The library has a lot of windows. Find one of them and tolerate it.
Fucking
No one has. That is a fight response. We're gonna have to stop the podcast now so Tess can do deep breathing strategies to go to the library.